let's do a little round table here, and I want to hear where you could see some names being moved to come end of the month.
Ryan, I'll give you the honors. You're the guest.
Oh, man. Well, I feel that, you know what I'm not going to steal? I'm going to go with something smaller here.
He's got Shohei coming to Baltimore. It's
no,
clear as
absolutely,
day.
absolutely not. But I do think the Cardinals group, someone is going. And in that case, and maybe this could be too bold, and maybe it's not like this, but a guy like Jordan Hicks, I could see coming to Baltimore. Someone like that, where just for the sense of, and hear me out here.
7, 8, 9 would be absolutely miserable to face them.
So hear me out. I don't know, but the Cardinals said they're selling. So you think, would that be Arenado? Would that be Goldschmidt? But maybe, just maybe, it could be Hicks. So I'm going to get a little bit bold here. And Ollie might knock over my mic in the process because he woke up from his nap.
Ollie.
But anyway, Ollie. Anyway, hypothetically here, why I think Hicks to Baltimore could be interesting is because the Orioles right now, they've done a lot of great things. I think their starting pitcher, which everyone thinks that they make a move. I don't know if necessarily that's more of a need. Relief pitching for me is because guys that you expected to start the year, Dylan Tate and Michael Givens. Givens looks to be done. Tate was said he's being shut down. Last year, the bullpen ran out of gas. You already have 2 All-Stars in Cano and Batista on the back end. The bullpen has done a tremendous job, but you need a little bit of more help because I'll tell you what, watching the team, they don't call a lot of guys up. They don't trust a lot of arms. So I think that would be a move that would fit for Baltimore. That's my number one. Anyone else has the floor.
Would that be a 7, 8, 9 of Cano, Hicks, Batista, or do you see it going elsewhere?
Well, let's think about this stretch.
Cano's a Swiss Army knife.
That's what I was going to say. How often can you go in this stretch where like you're almost not necessarily platooning the closing role, but like those early week closing jobs, or maybe even like a 9th inning where it's not a close opportunity and you got a big lead, just hammer it down. I think like you have closing experience in Hicks, you have Cano and Batista can do whatever they want. So I think like you can kind of rotate through those guys while it's still being Batista's role, right?
Well, you wouldn't be throwing Hicks into any unusual territory of that either, because he's already in that sort of like platoonish role. Because Helsley, I think is still in the IL, but like so that wouldn't be anything he's not used to.
Well, and the other part of it too, and here's the example of it is, I mean, Batista's had an unbelievable year. Cano's done his thing. When you get to the Orioles, I think the only pitcher right now with postseason experience, I think there might be one guy with the innings, it's Kyle Gibson. That's it. So if you're expecting to go to the playoffs and postseason, and I believe Batista can handle the moment, I believe Cano and like my guy Mike Baumann, who has been that Swiss Army knife for them, that's been saying, hey, go give me 2 innings, and then Mike come in with the bases loaded. He's done that. But right now there's a short list of people that they fully are comfortable with. They need a little bit more help. And especially with the injuries they've had in the bullpen so far, it just makes sense. If it's a Jordan Hicks type of arm, or like the Orioles like to do, they like to go find a diamond in the rough. But it seems to me you're going to need someone with a little bit either experience or some life that can make it almost like a dominating back of the bullpen.
All right, let me ask you this question, because this could dictate where I'm thinking this name goes. How much or many rumblings are going about additioning or adding to the starting rotation?
I think that's definitely a talking point, and I think that is a interest. But to me, I don't know, because there's 6 pitchers right now that they have. Grayson Rodriguez just got called up. Cole Irvin is going to the bullpen. Tyler Wells has pitched really well. Kyle Bradish is actually been on fire. Dean Kramer, Gibson. So you feel like you have 6 arms right now. You might get one more. John Means is coming back, and he's going to be limited. So that's the only thing where the Orioles have been a little bit more depleted on the bullpen side. And last year was the perfect example of they were in a good position and their bullpen overachieved and then ran out of gas. So I would put it there, but it's not the Orioles to me. They don't need to go get a bat. An offensive player makes no sense. It's got to be pitching.
All right. Well, here's my prediction then.
Please.
Blake Snell to the O's.
Wow.
Look, 16 mil owed this year. Orioles can make up 8 mil, right? Free agent next year. It's a true rental. You talk about experience of being in the postseason. You have a fairly young rotation that doesn't have that experience of going down this stretch. I think there's a lot of teams attached to Blake Snell. I had another team. I put O's/Blue Jays. So I think it is AL East, but I feel like the Orioles are a little bit more fun. I think I'm hearing some stuff about, I didn't have this name on here, but the Blue Jays kind of being attached to Marcus Stroman. So a little reunion there. But yeah, I think Blake Snell to the O's could be fun. I think that could be sweet, and it's not too expensive.
And then they're looking for that lefty starter. You know what? I actually was thinking about using Snell to start off, but I'm glad my spider sense was tingling.
Well, you mentioned Marcus Stroman, a guy that we just absolutely love here on the 3-0 take. No, not really. I have Marcus Stroman going to not the Blue Jays. I did read that, and it makes sense. But I have Marcus Stroman going to the Astros.
Oh.
They need some help on the rotation. Framber Valdez he's day to day. He's been dealing with some things. You lost Luis Garcia earlier this year.
Christian Javier has been kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, he's been up and down. So all that to say, could use some help in the rotation. Marcus Stroman pitching very well.
Middle finger attitude.
Oh, and my single note for this trade prediction was that the Astros have made it abundantly clear that it's okay, that they're okay with allowed play as long as you produce. And to me, Marcus Stroman fits that bill perfectly.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that one. I've heard Giants, Blue Jays. I haven't heard the Astros. I like that. That's ballsy.
That's what I got.
Do you guys have a second one?
I do.
I have a second one.
Why don't you guys start? Yeah, go ahead.
We'll snake this thing. I'll knock mine out real quick. My second one, another pitcher, Lance Lynn to the Reds.
Ooh.
And let me tell you why. A rotation similar to the Astros. They've been dealing with some injuries as well. But did you know, you probably would have been able to guess if you thought about it, but the Reds are Major League Baseball's second youngest team. So to me, having a guy like Lance Lynn, say what you will about his performance as of late, but like you said, Nate, last episode, it's in there. You know it's in there.
Yeah.
And maybe shipping him over to Cincy for the remainder of the season, get some veteran presence in there, might do wonders for both.
He's going somewhere. I think everyone knows that. But I like that pick. I like that landing spot. All right. I teased this earlier about Bryce Harper finally getting back to the outfield, which kind of clears up a DH spot. But there's a hole, and there's a bat that needs to be added to that lineup, and Dombrowski ain't scared. Give me Paulie Goldschmidt to the Phillies. Yeah, 35 years old, set to be a free agent in 2025. So still under control next year. I think that may help the situation with Rhys Hoskins. There's a rotating DH first base alternating situation you could do there. He is owed $22 million next year, so I didn't really look too much into like financial what the Phillies are looking at, but I think that could be pretty sweet. And he's not a spotlight guy, right? He's just show up, produce. So yeah, I think that like you have the names on there that can take the spotlight and just let him do his thing.
Just a quick note on the Phillies for anybody listening wondering, well, why would the Phillies be serious buyers? Another note from Carabas this morning. The Phillies were a season worst 7 games under 500 on June 2nd. They've since won 26 of 36 to move to a season high 9 games over 500 at 51-42. Only the Braves have a better record in the majors over that span. Their playoff odds coming into today, Monday, are up to 69.4% per Fangraphs. Cardinals have come out and said that they're selling. They've been that direct.
I think Nolan stays. I think that there's too much control there.
Yeah.
I think he stays. The Goldschmidt being, is going to turn 36 next year like that, only 1 year left. That just makes more sense to me.
Yeah. I like that.
So I've been debating this for a little bit.
Bought you some time?
No, because I'm going back and forth because a guy that I think could be on the move, because you brought up one pitcher for the White Sox, and I think Giolito, you brought up Lynn, I think Giolito could be on the move to a team, but it's going, well, who could that possibly be? Thinking, well, that could be the Rangers. I think the Rangers losing DeGrom and adding that in.
That's what I said months ago. I love that.
And I'm still with you on that. There's 2 different ways. There's the hopeful one, but we're talking about the Cardinals. Dare we see Nolan Arenado make a way to New York and get traded to the Bronx?
I'm super down. Look, I'm super down. I'm super down.
And the only way I'm saying this, to be honest, of the 2, I don't know if they're going to ship off Goldie and Arenado, right? But if they are, and that is a position that needs to be upgraded and need a little bit of help over there in the Bronx, it makes sense to bring in one of the best players. Hopefully you get Judge back. And I don't know why, and I know maybe you guys haven't talked about this. If he doesn't go to the Dodgers, in my core, I don't want it, but why do I feel like Ohtani would go to the Yankees? I don't want it.
I said that last week, Ryan. I said
I was
being bold, and I said the Yankees would either get Soto or Ohtani.
See, the Soto thing, I don't know if I'm fully behind him going to New York. I think that could be too much. I think an Arenado move to me would be less expensive, and I think also be able to fill some holes personally. Unless you guys want Josh Donaldson back.
I would love to have Josh Donaldson hold it down over there at third, personally.
Please,
but you mentioned
go away.
You mentioned the Phillies. I've seen a lot of Philly Soto talk.
That would be nuts. They need a left fielder. Schwarber, this is why Bryce Harper is getting back in the outfield. Schwarber is a nightmare in the outfield.
Let's just get every former national star that ever came through that organization and get him to Philly. That's the end game here.
So either way, our predictions, I think Philly they're getting a dude somewhere, somehow.
I miss Dave Dombrowski so much.
I like it.
I think it's safe to say though,
to the Yanks. Yes, please. That's a dream.
I think it's safe to say, if we're trusting what the Cards are saying, they said they're making moves. They said they're making moves at the deadline. Does not look like they're going to be in the hunt for that division. You would have to think that one of their big guys would be available. Phillies will be aggressive. Is there one team?
Let me ask you this, Ryan, while we're on that. If the Yankees are talking about needing to buy on a catcher, do you really see the Cardinals packaging Nolan and Mr. Contreras together? There's issues behind the plate. I think that's well documented with Contreras
very well documented.
The stick is still there. That's been the issue for the Yankees. No offensive production from catchers.
Can I add a question to your question?
Okay.
So,
question to the question.
When they came out and said that they were sellers, they said, we can tell you that we're going to trade people. I just don't know if it's going to be household names or more of guys that just aren't likely going to be here next year. Interpret that how you will, but
yeah.
With that said.
Well, and in we've heard Newt Barr, that kind of fills a hole for the Yankees. We saw that the Yankees and the Cardinals were able to get a deal done last year with Montgomery and Bader. Like there's some connection there. Like I think maybe there is a little bit of a knocking on the door on Arenado, and then you package another name in there to fill a gap.
Yeah, it just feels like something's happening. It just feels like it's on the cusp. It's going to happen. The AL Central, to me, I really don't know what to make of other teams. You know, like, are those teams going to sell or not? Because you're looking at it, because even like the White Sox, like they have some guys, but they have so much money invested in like some bats. You know, not that I would see them make this move, but if they were struggling, like Eloy Jimenez is a guy that would probably help a team, but is he going to move? Right?
I think I read that they're holding on to Cease most
Cease
likely.
Ain't going anywhere. He's locked down.
He's
Luis
not going
Robert.
He's locked down.
Jimenez, and there was one other. Or maybe one or two others. Vaughn, I think, was one of them.
Yeah.
And there may have been
it's
somebody
just
else,
interesting.
He's included.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to look around at a bat right now to be like, who would be a guy? And to me, it just keeps coming back to who are two bats that can immediately make an impact on your team, and they happen to be on the same team in St. Louis. So
right.
We'll see. That's the fun part about it all. But make no mistake, things are going to heat up here, everyone, real quickly. Ohtani to the Orioles is not one of those that I think is going to happen.
What a shame. That was actually a prediction I had, but chose not to share it. No, not actually. But real quick on that Ohtani thing, did you guys see that the Rays were supposed to be this like a mystery team in on Ohtani? What is that?
I've heard that with Soto. I haven't heard that with Ohtani yet.
No, they're the newest mystery team in on Ohtani, apparently.
I think they'll get somebody.
The Tampa Bay Times.
Well, that would be something.
If you're the Rays, why would you sell the farm to get Ohtani as a pure rental, knowing that he's not going to be there beyond this year? Because the Rays would never sign Ohtani in a million years.
You know the thing that's interesting, and this kind of reminds me of something that happened with Machado. It's like when I think it's fair to say none of us think that Ohtani's going back to the Angels next year, right?
Yeah,
Feels like it. Feels like this is going to be it. So if other teams are recognizing that, and they're like, well, we know he's not going to be back. Same thing with Machado. Everyone knew he wasn't going to come back to Baltimore. And it was a little bit harder, even though it ended up, Dean Kramer was a part of that deal for the Orioles. It worked out. He's been pitching great. But you're hoping for what you're getting that you're going to have multiple players that pan out. And unfortunately, those guys who were in that trade were my teammates. I love those guys, just the nature of the business. So my point is, what the Angels are asking for, I don't know if they're going to get that. Like that type of Ohtani's.
They don't have that. They don't have the leverage. They don't have the leverage to ask for too much. You
exactly.
know what I mean?
Exactly. So that's my point is they could say we want 3 top 100 prospects, and some team, if they feel like the Orioles do have that plethora to it, but the Orioles could be like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to deal with that. And other teams are probably saying the same thing. We'll take our chance. And we think that maybe one team will give it up to you, but we're not. We're gonna roll the dice that it might not. That'll just play out how it happens.
If I'm Ohtani's agent, I think if there's a way you can somehow find a way to facilitate a trade to the East Coast, that just blows the doors off of his free agent market. Because everyone's talking about how he wants to stay on the West Coast. He wants to be able to have Japanese fans be able to watch him. But you're eliminating half the league, if not more. So if you can find a way to get a trade to the East Coast, it all of a sudden starts to rack up his price this offseason.
That's actually a fantastic point I had not considered.
Thanks.
Because if you're Ohtani, all you have to do is grin and bear it for, like, even if you hate being out here, you just...
It's 2 months.
Grin and bear it for a couple months, and then just play it off as though you're open to going to any team. And like you said, that drives up your market.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the reality of it, right? It's fascinating because watching the game last night. I mean, people were getting excited about his foul balls. Like he is the entertainer of baseball. People will line up to watch this guy play no matter where he's going to be.
Especially in that Orioles orange and black.
That would be so electric because that team's got the vibes are high, great energy. If the Orioles did get Ohtani, then they're the World Series favorite. That's a guarantee.
Shohei would literally hit a ball over the warehouse. I don't think that it's just like the Orioles need to recognize the opportunity that is before them and just take full advantage here. Like Shohei planting balls on Utah Street nightly. Come on.
A lineup consisting of Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Shohei Ohtani at the top of the order. And then, by the way, Austin Hayes an all-star, Santander. It's like, that's absurd.
A lot of lefty juice. That's a lot of lefty juice.
Here you go.
It's a good park to be a lefty.
Here's how you do it. If you're going to hold, like we just talked about, if you're going to hold off on signing or extending Adley and Gunnar and guys like that, fine. Put all that money towards Shohei, make billions in jersey sales, and then use that to then extend your guys, and you're literally set for the next decade. There, I just solved Baltimore's problems in 30 seconds.
I want to see that signature inside-out tank job over Mount Baltimore. That would be dope.
Are they still doing the bird bath? I bet you the bird bath would be electric with Shohei.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if there's one, as far as fun level, nothing would be more fun if you came to Baltimore because just that energy is contagious. If we're talking about iconic, it'd be New York, or even Fenway would be cool, but it's not gonna happen there. But Baltimore's vibes are just through the roof, and the fans are just eating up everything the team's doing on the field. Imagine adding in Ohtani to that mix. It might be like they have a bath. It just might be like a bird tidal wave if he's on that team.
In my mind,
just keep the hose running for the entire game.
In my mind, he's coming to Baltimore, and it's really cool to think about. So I'm enjoying this. I'm gonna ride this wave.